Sam Mitchell and the Hawks played with an edge that brought success. Now in the coach's box, it's clear that Mitch's men also have a no-fear approach. With his side firmly in the premiership window, Hawthorn's time is now. So how are the Hawks placed as we embark on season 2026? Sam, off-season, tell us something interesting that happened, like a wedding, sitting next to a possible trade. Tell me something interesting.
I went to Lloyd Meek's wedding. It was fantastic. There was a lot of talent in the room, and it was a beautiful day. Him and Elle wedding vows, but a lot of Freo there, a few players from some other clubs. So I made sure the seating arrangement was organised very nicely.
Well, that's your specialty. 2025. So the build-up's been semi-final, prelim, no expectation, but you obviously want to win the big one. Where do you see the game shifting in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, there's some rule changes. So the AFL has brought in a couple of new things, particularly around the ruck, whether it's the quicker ball-ups or the lasso throw-in or the centre bounce rule. There's going to be some changes there, as well as the fifth player on the bench. So unsure exactly how it will play out, but we'll be pretty flexible over the early part of the year. And I think the challenge for us is, we played 4 games for the year against the grand finalists and lost them all. So you can say we finished 4th and we did, pretty well, and we're making our way up the ladder, but we still need to find a way to beat the best teams regularly enough.
The forward line's interesting. So injuries hit fairly hard last year, Kelsier, Mitch Lewis. How do you see it shaping up coming into opening round? Yeah,
I mean, that's one of the interesting ones. I mean, at the start of the season, Jack Gunston wasn't even in the side, and then he ends up being an All-Australian and kicking 70 goals. So you take the good with the bad in this game. It's unfortunate that you get injuries, but it happens every season, and we need to remain flexible. I couldn't tell you right now exactly who's going to line up and how we're set up the field. So we've been debating the best way to go about the game, and I think the first couple of practice matches will give us a bit of a snapshot into where we think the game's going and what's going to suit us.
What about the Hollywood Hawks? I love the energy. I played with you for a long time, and you were so drilled and focused. As a coach now, you're very relaxed. Do they ever go too far where you sort of, as a coach, go, boys, I don't want to rein you in, but I might have to?
I think, it's probably been given a little bit more kudos from you guys. I think a lot of teams are trying to play with a bit of flair, and we probably got onto that first, and the celebrations and the way that we enjoy our footy. I think sometimes it's a business and so many people are so invested in the game, but most of us loved the game from when we were little kids, and being able to recreate that, when it's joy and when it's fun, I think we can all perform at our best in that environment. So trying to create that environment is important, but there still needs to be parameters and you still need professionalism. So the players have been pretty good for the most part, but I think the fortunate thing now is there's enough where they can rein themselves in. They sort of get, if they ever go a bit far, it'll be a teammate that picks it up rather than always just relying on the coaches and the staff.
Will Day, massive hit to the season or early part of the season. When you found out the news, did your stomach drop? Because he's just had a horrible run the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's been stiff. He's still pretty young and he's still going to have some great footy in front of him. It's another setback. You can dwell on it and say, oh, we lost Will Day and he's not going to play for the first half of the season. But, we'll get him back mid-year and his foot will be well and truly, healed up, and he's still going to be around the club. I've been working with him on a couple of projects, which is going to make us better. So looking forward to getting him back, but it's not something that you can harp on too much, and we're disappointed for him, but onward and upward for the rest of us.
You said projects, match day role. He spent some time on the interchange last. Does he get elevated up into the box for tactics?
I'm not sure. That is the type of thing we're talking about. So keeping in mind that he's getting himself physically right, mentally right to get himself back is going to be his #1 priority. But if he can, be a bit of an assistant coach for us during this period, that's going to help the players because he does have that extra level of empathy. The game is very, very easy from the coach's box, and the longer you're out of the game, the better you used to be at it. So trying to remember how hard it is when you're actually on ground level is pretty important, and he's going to be helpful for us in that area.
Well, no Will Day. The midfield magnet moves, who are we expecting to come through there that probably didn't play a big role in the midfield last year to pick up the slack?
It's hard to go too specific. I think with the extra player on the bench, it's likely to be a little bit more rotation. We pretty much stuck with 4 midfielders in most games last year, and we'd have the odd pinch hitter of a, Dylan Moore or a Nick Watson that would go in there. I think we'll see a bit more of that. Connor McDonald's had a bit more exposure this year. Josh Weddle probably playing a little bit higher through the middle of the ground as well. So expect to see some different names in there, but it's a bit early to tell. We're still in the experimental phase and figuring out what the best mix is going to be. It also depends who you play and where you play and all those types of things. So Dave McKay's taken over the midfield this year, and he's been really impressive how he's gone about it. And David Hale's moved into a bit more of a strategic role. So I think those two working together with it, sort of swapping roles in a sense, has given us a bit of X factor across the coaching group, and hopefully you'll see that on the field.
What about Nick Watson? A bit more pointed, more midfield time?
Not a surprise that you asked me about Nick. He'll do some more centre bounces, I think, but probably not too much locked into the midfield. I think, his best work is going to be done pretty close to goal.
A new number, Nick Watson, number 5. They just give it to the vertically challenged all the time. Every small man's taken it. You were with pride. Did you have a big say in that? Because I know you're big on the past players and tradition with numbers and who should be worthy of it. How was that conversation? We'd have a bit of a process where the players do a bit of research and they look up. If they want to ask for a number, then they have to, do a written submission or a sit-down meeting. And, to his credit, he took it really seriously. He looked at the history. He also talked about his own history. He's worn number 5 in his juniors a lot. While he's fun and active and everyone will love watching him play, I think he is very respectful of what it means in the history of our club. And the best and fairest is named after Peter Crimmins, who, is one of the most famous stories in Hawthorn's history. He has a full understanding of what that means. So it'll be great watching him kick goals. And I like to think that he's thinking about me, but I think he'll be thinking about the history of the club a little bit further than that. John Newcombe, Mr. September, he just showed what, he can do in finals footy. Now a co-captain. I don't think we've ever had a co-captain, you might correct me, but in Hawthorn's history, why the shift to a co-captain?
Yeah, it's the first time in Hawthorn's history we'll have co-captains. So we've been really specific about how we think the players should be led and can lead each other. And the model that we lean on is what is going to get the best out of this group at this time. And having extensive chats with Sis and a few of the other players and staff about how we can get the best out of our group. We thought it was very compelling to have the co-captains. They're having 2 players who very different strengths. You got one guy who is super consistent and just does the same thing every week, and then you got Sis, who's got a real aura in the game, and the way he sees the game is so fantastic. But I think they can really lean on each other and grow from each other and lead the boys well. You
made being a winger cool again with Massimo and Carl, and is that pivotal to Hawthorn's game plan, the way the wingers play their role?
I think historically it's been the simplest role. Not easy, but simple. Run up and down on one side of the ground, and, someone like Steele Sidebottom played probably his first 250 games doing exactly the same thing every week and was just an absolute star. But it has evolved. You look at the Ollie Dempseys of the world who have now completely evolved the position and have given it a new lease on life and been able to follow in a couple of those footsteps. And I think Massimo, Carl, Harry Morrison, they all have a bit of a feel for the way the game can be played that's outside of the rigid, run up and down the wing. And I think that being able to explore some different positions to create some threat against the opposition is, one of the things everyone wants to be able to do as a coach. And fortunately, I've got some talented players that can help in that area.
Take us inside Josh Weddle's head. You move him around a lot. Like, he's almost Mr. Fix-It. Defence, we need you in the mid. Do you expect him to elevate that role again or play a little bit more permanent, or he's just going to be your swing man?
I think he missed a fair bit of footy last year, and he's still so young. I think sometimes you take it for granted. But he's still got a lot to learn in the game, and his talents are pretty obvious. I think he'll be based in the defence, and the majority of his game will be played there. And I think he'll just improve in the other aspects. When he's gone forward, he does some fantastic things that everyone catches your eye. But I'm sure Jack Gunston and other forwards are saying, "Oh man, can you get out of the way?" at other times. So, and it'll be the same around the middle of the ground. We've exposed him this pre-season to a lot of different positions, and trying to just continue to develop his game and make him as strong as we think he can be for us, and be really important that he plays multiple roles for us because he's so damaging.
I personally, sitting on the other side, enjoy the theatre with Essendon and Hawthorn now over what's transpired.
It's a surprise.
A big offer to Josh Weddle. Like, how do you follow that as a coach?
Oh, I didn't think about it too much.
Just straight bat?
Yeah, straight bat. I mean, When good players are potentially coming out of contract, I think it's every club's right to go and try and have a look at them. And if I was an opposition club, I'd be looking at Josh Weddle too.
Always answer questions about players, their pre-seasons, how they're going to go into the season.
Before you even ask, whoever it is, the best pre-season they've ever had, fittest they've ever been, ready for a big season.
No, I'm actually talking about you.
Oh, me.
Well, we always talk about the player focus and who's flying and all that. And to be honest, until you put the boots on the field, it doesn't matter. But as a coach, how do you develop yourself? Who do you turn to over the summer to go, I need to go to another level with my coaching, and who do you bounce that off?
Oh, I mean, lots of different people. I think being able to have great mentors in your life is important, and sometimes they're football people, sometimes they're outside, you know, in business or in different sports is also good to talk to. But you always want to be learning, so you always look back on my old coaching and think, oh, what was I doing there? I should have thought of this, or should have been doing that. So continue to make progress in my own coaching. I think you get every year you have a couple of changes to your coaching staff, and you get some IP from other clubs, and you continue to learn and develop, and everyone's doing the same. It's why the game continues to get better. And I know I've been having Fox Footy on in the background in my office, and a few games flicked back up, and round 1, 2003 against Melbourne, we lost to the last kick. I don't know if you remember it. Brad Green kicked this beautiful goal, but I was watching the game going, oh man, we're so old now. And you look at how much progress the game has made in that 25 years, and you just, you know, you're so thankful that you're still involved.
Do you ever flick over in your office and watch an episode of Bounce?
Whenever the bounce is on, I make sure I record it, and then I can go back, and only if you're on there. Sometimes you have a day off, and I don't like them as much.
Yeah, you're a good man, Mitch. IP, you mentioned IP, so we've got our unique sport here. What sporting code overseas do you look or get something from, even a marginal game? Is it EPL, is it NFL? What sport do you look at?
Oh, I've been interested in lots over the years. At the moment, I'm probably still looking at the EPL. I think the way, with the growth of AI, I think the way that some of the world games, whether it's soccer or the ones that have a huge amount of money and have a bit advanced on what we're doing in Australia, and then just got so many people playing it. When you look at the AI models and how they're assessing players and all those things, I think, you know, there's a fair bit of learning for us, and whether it's on field in how they tactically set up a game, or whether it's off field in their player assessments and development plans, I think there's plenty of growth in our game to come.
You never sugarcoat anything when I ask you a good question. So, wildcard weekend, what's your thoughts?
Depends. Hopefully I don't care about it because we're well above it. If we finish 7th or 8th, I'll be pretty unhappy. And if we finish 9th or 10th, I'll be wrapped. So I love the game. A lot of people will say, oh, the game's too long, or there should be less rounds in the season. I'm not. I like the game. I love game day. I love playing. I love the guys running out there. I love the game day experience. So makes the season slightly longer, puts a bit more money in a few more people's pockets, gets more games for us all to watch. Not against it.
You know how a three-peat works. It's a hard slog. Brisbane are going for it in 2026. How do you stop the Lions in 2026?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, they're obviously enormously talented, and by not focusing on them too much, I think if we look at what they've done and you try to replicate that, they're going to beat you at that game. So you need to figure out where the game's going and make sure you're just 1 foot in front of them and in front of everyone else with whatever the future of the game looks like. And I think the game's in an interesting position now where a couple of the rule changes, no one knows how they're going to play out, and being able to make some evolutions quickly, I think will be important this first half of this season.
What about Greg Swan comes in? We thought, oh, he's just going to rule change maybe an entree, and he's just throwing a big buffet out there of all these rule changes. What's been the most challenging to teach your players or articulate to your players, and what's probably going to frustrate you the most?
Yeah, hard to know just yet. The first bit of match play we did, we had some of the umpires who were good to come out and help us with training. The first one, we did 15 minutes of match play, gave away 3 50s for the stand rule. So now I hope that means, you know, we're training it early, so by the time the season comes around, you know, we're on top of it. But I imagine there's going to be some exposure in that early part of the season. I think everyone's going to handle it slightly differently, and we'll, you know, by round 10, I imagine most of the teams are reverting to the same sort of thing. So no different to, you know, last year, a lot of teams pulled back off the mark. Sometimes always went to the mark, and you know there's a bit of a continuum there that we'll find our feet.
Appreciate your time, Sam. Good luck for the season.
Thank you, Benjamin.
This is your life, Sam Mitchell.